Welcome back, guys, and we're in another episode here of the Gaming Pulpit. I'm not sure what episode this is, but we want to definitely just dive right into this. Let me know in the comments if you like the video, if you dislike the video. Tell me what I'm doing wrong, tell me what I'm doing right within the comments, and let's get started. Don't forget to subscribe if you do like it. So there's a lot of talk going around about Spider-Man, right? So there's people are actually believing that because this is exclusive, that's the reason why it's getting really, really hyped. You know what I mean? Everyone's talking about Spider-Man. You know, there's even some speculation where people believe that God of War, can it beat God of War in terms of its, in terms of its or popularity and sales. And here's my answer, to be perfectly honest with you. On one side of the fence, Spider-Man is definitely way larger than a lot of different things. Would it beat God of War? Spider-Man may not be for everybody. That's the whole thing. You know what I mean? But I will say this. It will definitely, in my opinion, from what I see here, it'll definitely match anything that Spider-Man that God of War was doing. So definitely, I think it'll match it. Would it exceed it? It's hard to tell, because Spider-Man on the NPDs is like second or third, and this is considered PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo, and it's still second place after like what, 5 months, 4 months, you know what I mean? So it's just really hard to tell. But we want to break down why Spider-Man is doing so well, to be perfectly honest with you. Why is it doing so well? What is the hype for? People are like really, they don't understand why it's being so hyped. And I'm going to tell you why. It's not because it's a Sony exclusive. It's strategic timing. There was a big deal between Sony and Disney Marvel that allowed for Spider-Man to be actually in the Marvel Disney universe. So they had some sort of creative control to put that on there. And, you know, it was really cool to see Spider-Man and Tony Stark together, you know what I mean? And Iron Man and stuff like that. Then it was even more cool to see them in the Avengers. You know what I mean? So Spider-Man is already receiving hype based off of that franchise, the Marvel cinematic universe, so the MCU. So it's you know, that's really what's hyping it, to be perfectly honest. That's what I can see here. So not only that, but remember when they first showed Spider-Man, it could stand on its own two legs anyway. So, I mean, I do feel like, truthfully, what's happening is that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is definitely propelling it a little bit farther than what it was before, but no one knew how that was going to actually work. No one knew No one knew if that was going to sell well. I mean, that it was going to be done well by Insomniac. I mean, people kind of saw like Sunset Overdrive, that they had the, you know, they kind of knew how to do it, how to do superhero games, especially with Traversal. That's the most important thing with Spider-Man. How well does he flow within that environment and stuff like that. So that really worked. But when they first revealed Spider-Man, it was just like, what kind of sorcery is this? Look at these graphics. Look how smooth it is. No one really, it didn't look like it was real time. So that was one thing that they definitely carried. And then the gameplay was just so seamless as well. So I would say the first reveal definitely carried it. The first reveal carried it. It definitely carried it. And then people want to see more. And then they followed up with another a trailer that was even better than the first one. They had the comedy and everything like that. And then they had a dramatic trailer, you know, showing, I forgot what that chick's name again. But they have more villains and things of that nature. And then the graphics in action looks out of control. It almost looks like a Marvel Cinematic Universe like movie. Actually, I feel like the storyline is better, from what I could tell, than the Spider-Man's. In general, it has better action. The personality for Spider-Man is a lot more intact. It's definitely more intact. So that's what's going on with that. So for sure, I think that they nailed it, and that's where the hype is coming from. So there's a lot of talk on the internet stating that it's only hype because it's a PlayStation exclusive. No, fam, this has nothing to do with that. It definitely could stand on its own two legs. The hype that was generated from it was based off of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the trailers. The trailers and gameplay footage was out of this world, graphically and gameplay wise. So that's that. That kind of brings me to our next topic here. So, I mentioned earlier about God of War being number 2, I believe, or number 3. I forgot which one it was. So just the MPDs in general. So congratulations to Sony knocking it out the park. That's why they didn't show anything for E3. They don't really need to, because they have the faith of their consumers. We know as fans that they're killing it, and we don't have anything to worry about. It's the news publications and fanboys of the other camps that are just kind of putting these concern videos and threads out there, like what does Sony have to offer? Don't worry about it. Worry about your Xbox and Nintendo. Why don't you do that? Worry about them. You know what I mean? You'll be all right with your with your State of Decay and your Pokemon. You'll be all right. Don't worry about us. We're not worried about it because we already know what's coming. You know what I mean? It would have been nice to see like their new stuff. I would have definitely liked to see Horizon Zero Dawn 2 or another game of that nature. I would have wanted to see that, but I know it's coming, so I'm not really worried about it. But they smashing it. They literally have game after game after game that carries them per quarter. You know what I mean? They had what is it? Detroit Become Human earlier this year. You know what I mean? They just have they have Spider-Man coming out. They have Detroit Become Human. They had God of War, and then now they have Spider-Man, and it's going to carry them legitimately. They're not just trying to sell their sell their consoles based off of some bullshit. It really is it's legitimately a good, it's good. It's good. And I'm glad that Sony's finally getting their recognition with that. I'm starting to see like a slowdown in the Switch though. That's the funny thing about it, because honestly, I mean, yeah, Pokemon is huge, but now you gotta pay online. That's gonna put a wrench in the monkey in the works. It's gonna put a monkey wrench in the works. So and then you have Smash Brothers, which was never that damn big. But it's had a serious following. So it'll be very interesting to see how long they can keep this up. And as you know, with Xbox, they're done with this generation. They're already planning their next games for the next generation. So basically, Sony could just coast. And this makes a lot of people upset. You know what I mean? Because they want Sony to be, Super Saiyan 3 and shit like that. God Super Saiyan. You know what I mean? Unnecessarily. You don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. And this is why they're keeping that shit secret. Now, people can get upset. There was actually some people in forums that really truthfully believed that because of the Fortnite debacle that they were going to lose in sales, and that's not going to happen. Like, guys, chill the fuck out with that shit. This was the most ridiculous shit I ever heard in my life. It's funny though. It is really funny when you hear it, and it's like, are you fucking serious? Like, are these people real? Is this really? No. So, the bottom line is that no one likes a top dog. So there's always going to be publications, and when you're on the spotlight and you're that high, people are going to get so annoyed with you. You know what I mean? Because that's human nature. They just don't want you to succeed. I don't know what it is. They do not want you to succeed. So that's what's really going on with that. They don't want to see you succeed. And they're like, fuck that dude. Fuck Sony. For doing all these sales when we told you guys that PlayStation or just consoles in general are going to die. So no, the lineage for Sony's consoles are actually like single player experiences anyway. You know what I mean? But it'll be really interesting to see how they're going to actually transition from one console generation to another. That'll be very interesting because even though they're successful now, they really got to pull out the stops and really come up with like some unique IPs and things like that for the next generation, and graphics. I feel like the next steps that they should really focus on, and you need some multiplayer games too, but I feel like the next steps that they really need to focus on is single player games with multiplayer elements in them. That's how you can sell it, because to be honest with you, it's hard to penetrate that market. But they got, in this generation, they got a nice amount of IPs that they could actually make multiplayer. You already know The Last of Us is there. They have the SOCOM stuff that they can definitely work on, give that shit to Guerrilla Games. I already told you in other videos that they should be doing that, but it bring people to play your multiplayer games. Now that we all know that single player experiences are locked on PlayStation, it's locked. It really is. So whether you want to believe that shit or not, they got that shit on lock. Which, as we come to a close with this particular video, I want to talk about Sony's multiplayer games and Polyphony Digital with their Gran Turismo. And people are so like up in arms at the fact that they're allowing the consumer to buy the cars. Not all of them, but buy some cars. And it's like, you told us that you were never going to do microtransactions, shit like that. Well, guess what? Things change. Microsoft also stated that they were going to do VR, and they reneged on that shit hardcore. You know what I'm saying? Nintendo said that they weren't going to charge for online, and then they changed that shit up. Things change. But I guess the worry is, or the concern, if I want to look at them seriously, is this going to be a trend for Sony? Yes. Yes, it is going to be a trend, because the person that runs Sony wants to go into microtransactions anyway. Games as a service. That's what they're trying to do. And it is annoying, but us as gamers, we did that shit to ourselves. I'm not going to lie to you. We literally did this shit to ourselves. And it's a shame. We've been trying to run for the pre-orders and all this other stuff to get exclusive content and stuff like that, and we forced it. But now that we're here, and it's going to be hard to get out of that particular cycle, what does it mean for Sony? And what I personally believe that it means for Sony is, I trust, based off of their history, that they know how to make quality things, but still have this microtransaction built into it and not be pervasive either. You know what I mean? So I trust that they're going to do it right. I mean, they did it with The Last of Us and Uncharted and stuff like that. So they're already going towards that way anyway. But now we know that they can make single player experiences and stuff like that. And that's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be. I don't think that they're going to abuse it. I mean, we all know that Gran Turismo started off like rough, and they had to drop the sales, or drop the price, so it could actually sell and stuff like that. And you didn't think they would want to drop the price just because, you know what I mean? And that's all I really got to say about that, to be honest with you. Check out my other video about consumers and stuff like that, where I talk about, consumers are literally being programmed to like and dislike certain things and stuff like that. I mean, because they gave Polyphony Digital a hard time. But you know what? They picked it up. And I'm out. That's it. I kept it short. Definitely, guys, let me know in the comments what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing right, and subscribe.